Berlin, 1941. The streets roar with marching boots. Banners stretch across towering buildings. Blood-red flags emblazoned with the black swastika swaying in the wind. Thousands of soldiers stand in perfect formation as Adolf Hitler steps onto the podium, his voice rising over the crowd like a storm. Parades of tanks roll past, Luftwaffe squadrons thunder above, and the Reich appears unstoppable. History tells us Hitler was a man nearly impossible to kill. He survived poison, bombs hidden in briefcases, even snipers waiting in the shadows. More than 40 real assassination attempts failed. Each time he walked away and the war dragged on. But imagine something no one in the 1940s could comprehend. The sudden arrival of AI-controlled combat drones. Not radio-guided prototypes, not crude V-1 rockets, but swarms of intelligent machines capable of hunting, tracking, and striking with terrifying precision. A weapon decades ahead of its time. What happens when Hitler's iron grip on the Reich is challenged not by Allied spies or resistance fighters, but by technology from the future? Would a fleet of drones rewrite history in an instant? Or would Nazi defenses adapt fast enough to preserve their leader? Now let's drop the unimaginable into 1940s Germany. AI-controlled drones. These aren't clumsy radio-guided machines of the era. They're small, lightweight killers, some no bigger than a bird. Others sleek, fixed-wing craft, each armed with explosives. But what sets them apart isn't just size or speed. It's the intelligence inside. Modern AI gives them eyes sharper than any sniper, able to scan crowds, lock onto faces, and track a single man through chaos. They don't need a pilot. They don't wait for orders. They calculate, adapt, and strike on their own. Where human assassins can fail, hesitate, or miss, these machines do not. And they move like nothing the 1940s world had ever seen. Drones could dart between buildings, slip past guards, and weave through flak fire at speeds impossible to hit. Their engines barely louder than the hum of a motorbike. They would seem like phantoms to a generation used to roaring propellers. Now compare them to the technology of the day. The Luftwaffe ruled the skies with propeller-driven fighters and lumbering bombers. Radar existed, but crude and unreliable. Anti-aircraft guns were designed to target planes the size of trucks, not metal hornets darting at treetop height. Against drones, flak cannons would be as useless as a shotgun against a swarm of bees. To the Nazi war machine, these would be weapons with no precedent, no manual, no defense. Machines that shouldn't exist. Germany in 1941 was not unprepared for threats. Adolf Hitler lived surrounded by layers of defenses thicker than any monarch in history. His days were carefully scripted. Rallies in Berlin, speeches broadcast across Europe, meetings inside concrete fortresses like the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia. Around him, the infamous Leibstandarte SS formed a human wall, trained to shield their Führer with their lives. Above the cities rose flak towers, massive concrete giants bristling with anti-aircraft cannons. These towers spat fire into the sky, shredding Allied bombers and forcing the Royal Air Force to pay in blood for every raid. In the countryside, fields hid batteries of 80 mm guns, the most feared artillery of the war, capable of downing planes or tearing Allied armor to pieces. The Gestapo watched every whisper. Assassination plots were sniffed out, spies dragged from the shadows, resistance cells dismantled before they could act. For years, this system worked. Bombs exploded near Hitler, but he walked away. Snipers took aim, but their chance vanished. Even when conspirators planted a briefcase bomb in his own headquarters, he survived. But here's the problem. Every defense was designed for the enemies of the 1940s. Flak cannons could obliterate a B-17, but they couldn't touch a drone the size of a hawk. The Gestapo could interrogate men, but they couldn't interrogate machines. And Hitler's bunkers, built to withstand artillery, had no answer for tiny autonomous hunters slipping silently through vents, windows, or open skies. 10 a.m. Berlin trembles with the sound of marching boots. Thousands pack into the square as Hitler climbs the podium. Arm raised, his voice carrying across a sea of uniforms and swastika flags. The crowd roars. 10:05 a.m. Above the square, a shadow moves. At first, the SS spotters dismiss it as birds circling the sky. But the formation is too perfect, too deliberate. In seconds, the swarm reveals itself, dozens of sleek shapes cutting through the air. And 6 a.m., the drones lock in. Their AI systems scan the stage, filter the chaos, and isolate one target, Hitler's face. Algorithms track his every movement with machine precision. The swarm dives, 7 a.m. Panic erupts. SS guards fire pistols upward, spraying bullets blindly. Rifles snap, but they're useless. The drones twist and weave at 60 miles per hour, darting between tracer rounds like hornets in a storm. Window 8 a.m. One drone slams into the podium, detonating. Wood splinters, smoke erupts, and the crowd scatters in terror. The once disciplined rally dissolves into chaos, soldiers trampling civilians, banners collapsing in flame. Dawn 9 a.m. More drones pierce the defensive perimeter. Flak cannons open fire, black smoke filling the sky. But the drones dart beneath the barrage, weaving between tracer fire. Guards shout orders that vanish under the roar of explosions. 10 a.m. SS bodyguards drag Hitler from the stage, rushing him toward an armored car. But the machines are relentless. Their sensors follow heat signatures, movement, even the sound of his voice echoing through the square. The drones don't get tired. They don't hesitate. They hunt. For the first time, the Führer's fortress of defenses is cracking, not from bombs, not from men, but from machines decades beyond his imagination. The German response is immediate and desperate. Flak towers roar to life, their barrels tilting skyward as gunners unleash a storm of fire. Shells burst overhead, black smoke blotting out the sun, but the swarm doesn't scatter. The drones twist and dart through the chaos, far too small and fast for weapons designed to bring down bombers. On the ground, soldiers hurl grenades at the buzzing shapes, explosions ripping through the square, killing civilians as much as the machines. The SS fire rifles until barrels glow red, but they hit nothing but air. Every gunshot is a gesture of futility against hunters that think faster than men can aim. In a control room, German engineers rush to jam the invaders, twisting dials, flooding the airwaves with interference. But it doesn't matter. These drones don't rely on radio commands. They fly blind to human control, guided by algorithms relentless and precise. Hitler is dragged deeper into the labyrinth of his bunker. Concrete walls and iron doors slam shut. He believes he is safe. But the drones adapt. One slips through a ventilation shaft, camera eyes glowing in the dark. Another tracks his fleeing convoy, following the heat of engines across the night. The unthinkable has arrived. The moment of reckoning arrives. The drones breach the final barrier, Hitler's inner circle. For the first time, the man who survived bombs, bullets, and betrayal faces an enemy he cannot understand. Possibility 1. The swarm succeeds. A detonation inside a bunker, or a strike during a convoy, and Hitler is gone by 1941 or 1942. The consequences would be immediate. Without his iron grip, the Nazi hierarchy fractures. The Holocaust, still in its earliest phase, may never reach the industrial scale of Auschwitz. The Eastern Front might collapse without his obsession with conquering Russia. Millions of lives could be spared, and the war's end might come years sooner. Possibility 2. Hitler survives, but not unscathed. His aura of invincibility, carefully built through propaganda, is shattered. Rallies are canceled. Parades stop. The public begins to whisper, if the Führer can be hunted, is he truly untouchable? Paranoia poisons the Nazi high command. Generals bicker over succession. The SS tightens its grip, wasting resources on impossible defenses. Morale plummets both at home and on the front lines. Either way, history bends. Whether through his death or his fear, Hitler's power would be broken not by an army, but by machines he could never hope to fight. The ripple effects of this moment would be staggering. If Hitler dies early, the Reich loses its central figure. Himmler, Goering, and Goebbels would scramble for power, each pulling in different directions. The unity that fueled the Nazi war machine could collapse overnight. Without Hitler's obsessive vision, the Holocaust might never escalate to industrial genocide, and the Eastern Front might unravel before it devours millions. The war could end years earlier, saving countless lives. If Hitler survives but shaken, the damage is still immense. The myth of the invincible Führer shatters. Nazi propaganda built on his image as untouchable crumbles. Paranoia spreads like a disease. Rallies vanish, generals doubt, and whispers of failure spread across Europe. Even without his death, the Allies gain a powerful advantage. The enemy's leader is no longer a god, but a man who can be hunted. For a moment, the future collides with the past. The drones prove unstoppable, slipping through defenses, shattering the illusion of Nazi strength. Yet even the most advanced technology comes with limits. A handful of drones might strike fear but fail to finish the job. Only a true swarm, supplied in numbers and sustained over time, could alter the course of history. It's the same lesson as the Abrams tank in World War I, unstoppable on the battlefield, yet chained by the realities of fuel, supply, and logistics. The drones might win a battle, perhaps even kill Hitler, but could they win the war? That's the real question. If Hitler fell in 1941, would the world have been spared years of bloodshed? Or would another tyrant step into his place, steering the Reich down the same dark path? Technology can kill a man, but can it kill an idea? So what do you think? Would AI-controlled drones have ended the war before it consumed the world, or only changed the shape of its destruction? And if you thought this was wild, imagine something bigger. What if AI itself commanded armies in World War II?